Okay, Rebel Moon Part 1. Let's get this out the way right off the bat. If you're not a Zack Snyder fan, which means you really only like 300 and not much else, then this movie probably isn't for you just right out the gate. And even if you are a Snyder fan, which I am, I defend Man of Steel like I'm one of the great debaters. But even for those people, this isn't one of his best. Like, there are some directors, if you give them complete freedom, they would put out way more hits than misses. Christopher Nolan, Quentin Tarantino. If you're a studio and one of these guys has an idea, you just cut the check and get out the way. But there are others that need the parameters, they need the guardrails put up so it doesn't get too far away from them. And Zack is somebody who I think benefits more from having a writer on his team that can kind of filter and translate his ideas effectively, and somebody who, whether it's an editor or producer, to know when to reel back. Because there are a lot of scenes in this movie that were just, at the end of the day, not necessary. And with Rebel Moon, after seeing it, I'm convinced that the only reason it's 2 parts is the amount of time it took him to explain everything. Because the plot of this movie is similar, yes, of course, to Star Wars, but it's also similar to the things that inspired Star Wars, like Seven Samurai, and other stories like The Last Samurai. I mean, essentially, it's a soldier who finds themselves on a rural farming village and connects with the people of the village, and then has to, help them rise up and protect themselves against the oppressive government or ruling body, right? It's a story we've seen a bunch of times, not just in Star Wars, but because we've seen it a bunch of times, we know it can be done and done well in one movie. And that's just been like my general impression of the movie after watching it. There's not too much in here I think was bad or done poorly. It was just a lot of it. And some of these characters, the illusion is that they'll probably have more impact in the second part. But when she was recruiting them, as far as this movie, there's at least 1 or 2 characters that really don't need to be there. For what happens in this movie, they don't really need to be there. Maybe their importance comes, again, like I said, in the second part, but it made their recruiting scenes feel almost like a waste of time because we didn't really get to see them be cool, or we didn't really get to see them have a purpose when we came to like the climax of the film. And that's the real trick when you're doing 2-part films, is to have each part still feel like a complete film. Like Lord of the Rings, like Fellowship of the Ring ends with them walking off on the quest that they started halfway through the movie. And so the story's not finished, but it felt like a complete chapter. It felt like this arc is finished and now we have to move on to the next arc, and everybody that was in this first arc felt important to the first arc. There was nobody set up in Fellowship of the Ring that we didn't see their importance pay off until Two Towers. Everybody had importance in the first movie, and then we just carried them all over to the next movie. At the end of the day, Rebel Moon is a world I enjoyed being in, and Zack Snyder has mastered the show, don't tell aspect of filmmaking, but in this particular instance, it was at the expense of the less is more aspect. But honestly, let me know how you felt about Rebel Moon. Did you like it? Did you not like it? And did it lessen or increase your anticipation for part 2 and then all the other tie-in materials that they have planned for this? Let me know and we can get into it, and I'll get you guys next time.